Welcome to the kitchen. I got some great ideas today for a brand new show. We're going to do some fish dishes. That's right, I got this great new setup. We're going to talk about a trio of fish with a classic risotto Milanese. Do you know what a Milanese risotto is? It's a classic dish. Hey, I didn't invent it. I'm going to show you how to make it, though. You know what it is? Well, if you want to know, you're going to have to stick around because it's all coming up right here, right now on Carmine's. Welcome to the kitchen. What I thought we'd do today is a trio of fish. We're going to use salmon, scallops, and shrimp. And you can use whatever you like, but I have those three dishes, or three fishes, in-house today for this dish. Anything would work. I like those fish. I think most people that you cook for agree that those are three things that they'd want to eat as opposed to, you know, maybe a whole fish or maybe something like a calamari or clams or something a little more esoteric, so to speak. So those are going to be the three fish. And then I talked about a risotto Milanese. And for a classic risotto Milanese, we're going to use a classic ingredient. And that's what I have right here. This is called saffron, and it comes in this little metal tin. And the thing about saffron is it's a very, very pricey. It's probably the most, or I think it is, the most expensive spice that's out there on the market. And the reason is, as you can see, it comes in this little bag, comes a couple of ounces at a time. I know Scotty's saying, wait a minute, you got something in a bag for a couple of ounces? No, Scott, it's expensive, but it's for cooking. Scotty, all of a sudden, you know, it's really funny. The camera crew all falls asleep. I mentioned a little baggie with a couple of ounces, and Scotty wakes up. But as you can see here, get a shot of that, man. See, it's red. It could be golden in color. It could be red, but there's a bunch of different places. Mostly, it's from the Far East, or it's from Eastern countries. It's the stamen. It's actually part of a flower. What ends up happening is it's hand-picked. That's why it's so pricey. But the way to make this be a little more cost efficient, I guess, is we're going to take a little pinch here, maybe a tablespoon, and I'm dropping it in some warm water. And what that's going to do is I'm going to let that sit for a little bit and just give it a little quick stir. What that's going to do is, you can see that already, the water is starting to turn a little yellow. It's going to start to turn a little golden. What we're doing is we're blooming our saffron. We're getting some of the flavor that's in there to be extracted and be released into the water. Now that does two things. One, it allows for the recipe that calls for some saffron to use less saffron, which then is more cost efficient. And the second thing is it just kind of takes some of the flavor of the saffron and it keeps it from being so strong. Now saffron is one of those things, if somebody said to me, you right there in the back, I know, raising your hand, I know what saffron tastes like. I know what you're thinking. Saffron, I can't explain it to you. Saffron has its own unique flavor. So to say it tastes like chicken, like everything tastes like chicken. Well, saffron doesn't taste like chicken, but it tastes herbal. It's an acquired taste. So some folks say, I just don't like saffron. So this is a great little way, though, in a saffron dish. You bloom some of the saffron like this. You get all that flavor in this water, which we're going to use now as a component for our risotto dish, or a risotto Milanese classic dish. All right, so some of the other ingredients in our risotto, I've got here some green onions, or I've got scallions. Depends on where you're from. If you're from the south, they're green onions. If you're from the northeast, like we are, they're scallions. And I'm just going to chop a couple up because we're going to want this. This is our onions, our green onions, which is going to be more of a finish for our saffron risotto or risotto Milanese. Okay, that's about good. And you can smell the kitchen already smells like onions, which is really good. So it's a nice way to add some onions into the dish. I also have some shallots here. Now shallots, again, are less pungent than a garlic. I think the key to a great risotto is, we had one of the chefs in the kitchen make risotto for the first time. We were teaching them how to make risotto, and they used garlic. The problem with garlic is it overpowers a lot of the other flavors. Risotto is supposed to be milky and creamy, and you're supposed to taste the ingredients that you're flavoring a risotto, whether it's a Parmesan risotto or it's a saffron risotto like today. I also have some tomato here. And we're going to use the tomato for a couple of things. It's going to be for flavor, but also to add a little bit of color to our dish. So all I want to do is I'm going to take off both sides here. I'm going to give a little slice. Matt, you could do this with your eyes closed, right? Yeah. You've seen this how many times? You know how to do this, right? I don't have knives that sharp. Well, this knife needs to be sharpened up a little bit, but the whole idea is that you want to just keep the back end of the tomato together, because what we're looking to do is we're looking to do a real simple small dice. So cutting tomatoes is hard because of the skin. If you've got a tomato that's really ripe, the skin is really soft, and what ends up happening is the knife ends up crushing the tomato as opposed to cutting it. That's where a really sharp knife comes in handy. I'll save this. I don't waste anything. All right, so far what do we have? We've got our saffron blooming in some warm water, not hot, not cold, just some warm tap water. We've got some diced tomatoes. I've got some green onion here, or scallion. I've got some shallot ready to go. And then over here, I've got some of our risotto. In this case, what I'm using is arborio. There's 3 types of rice that are classically used for risotto. Well, let's see if I can remember. The first one is arborio. The second one is carnaroli. And the third one is Viaroli Nero. I probably said it wrong. I never remember the third one. But what you'll find in the market most of the time, there is a difference between the 3. But for everyday purposes, this one's a real great one. Cost efficient. It's very creamy. It's a long grain. It's very easy to extract a lot of starch. So our risotto's ready to go. So now all I need to do is get my pan nice and hot. We're going to start with a little bit of vegetable oil because I want to sear my fish. Now, let me tell you about the fish today. We've got 3 different fish we're going to use that I mentioned before. We've got some salmon, and I'm probably just going to use, this is a salmon fillet, it's about 8 ounces. I'm probably just going to use about 4 ounces because this is going to be a nice dish for one person. 2 really beautiful diver scallops, which are dry diver scallops. And I've got a couple of pieces of Gulf white shrimp. This is going to be all set to go. Now, the thing about this is each one of these type of fish is going to cook at a different rate. The first thing we want to cook, want to put in our pan, is our salmon. So my pan gets nice and hot. I'm going to take my salmon. I've taken the skin off. If you like salmon with the skin on, that's fine. I'm taking the skin off. If you left the skin on, you want to put the skin side down first. Maybe what you do is take your knife and score it a little bit, though, so when it hits the high heat, it doesn't curl up and make the salmon curl up. So by scoring it, it'll keep it nice and flat. It will also help keep the skin crispy, which I think is really great. If you're going to keep the skin on the fish, crispy skin is really a great way to serve it. I'm going to start my salmon, my hot oil. I got a sizzle going. This would be a great time for us to take a short break. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. You guys come back in about 2 minutes. I got the salmon started. I'll show you guys at home how to finish our trio of fish with our Risotto Milanese or our saffron risotto. It's all coming up right after a short break. Make sure you come on back.